There has been a lot of speculation about your institution over the last few days. This after the public prosecutor in South Africa suggested that we have a new mandate for your institution, and that mandate being socio-economic well-being of the citizens. You have pushed back very strongly against this. How seriously is your independence being tested?
Well, there is always contestation in society, and I think that we've got to be thankful as South Africans to the authors of our constitution, who foresaw that when things are tough, institutions and decision makers might think that the easiest thing to do is to fiddle with the independence of the central bank, and that is why the independence of the central bank is actually enshrined in the constitution. So to take away the independence, to change the mandate of the central bank will actually require a very high threshold in Parliament. You need a 2/3 majority to change the mandate of the Reserve Bank, or any part of the constitution for that matter. But as we know with institutions, having institutions constitutionally independent is one thing. The most important thing is, do the people who are entrusted with these institutions understand and respect the duties that are put on them by the Constitution, that they themselves act independently, that they act without fear, favor, or prejudice? That is what the South African Constitution is asking of the South African Reserve Bank. And I can tell you that as the executives of the South African Reserve Bank, we are steadfast that we will defend the independence of the Reserve Bank. And that is why we decided to launch these court proceedings, because we believed that the public protector had gone beyond her mandate.
Absolutely. So when do you think we'll get resolution? When do you think we'll get clarity on this issue?
Well, I'm not even sure whether this issue is unclear. The thing is very straightforward. We have heard the Speaker of Parliament saying that she is taking this matter on review because she believes that the public protector had gone beyond her powers. You have had a cross-section of political parties in South Africa saying, no way, it's not with our Reserve Bank. And I think that having the Constitution guaranteeing our independence is one. But I think more importantly, for us, what gives us comfort is this cross-section of South Africans who say, not with our institution.
If you were to lose this, if we were to see the inflation mandate disappear and something were to replace it, would you decide that you could no longer be the governor of the Reserve Bank? Is this something that you would be prepared to quit your job over? Is it that important?
Well, it is very important, but quitting my job would be a violation of the Constitution. The Constitution says that I must act without fear, favor, or prejudice. So quitting my job would mean that I'm a coward and I'm running away, and I'm not about to do that.
But you would be dealing with a different institution to the one you signed up for. You signed up to deal with a mandate that was based on inflation. If that mandate were to change, and you have made it very clear that you feel that that would be an inappropriate move, would that be something that you could carry on with, or would that be something that you could not carry on with?
Give me one central bank anywhere in the world that would not worry about inflation. Call the mandate anything. The Fed has a price stability and employment mandate. And I think that the Australians will go on and add growth and so forth. But there is no single central bank that I know that is worth its salt, irrespective of what additional responsibilities is given, that will not tackle inflation when it is confronted with it. And I can say to you that when I read what was proposed to say that you must act for the well-being of South Africans, I said, well, welcome back. The inflation targeting mandate is meant to improve the welfare of the South Africans. So if you say our responsibility is to improve the welfare of South Africans, understand something. We are going to have to bring inflation lower in order to serve the economic well-being of South Africans.
Do you feel that your institution is basically taking so much on its shoulders at the moment? There is political turmoil in South Africa. We think that may reach a resolution maybe towards the back end of this year. But at the moment, the responsibility for dealing with all of this and trying to calm the country down is based on your shoulders. Do you think that is too much for your institution to bear?
Well, you know, the world over, there had been this massive burden placed on central banks, and I think that it doesn't get helped by a narrative that says central banks are the only game in town, because then what happens in society is that institutions that are supposed to play their role are no longer playing that and are looking up to central banks to play that role. But South Africa is fortunate. South Africa is fortunate because the one strength of this country is our ability to structure national conversations around difficult issues. So you have got this conversation that is taking place now in society between the government, the private sector, and civil society that says, how do we get out of this economic quagmire that we are in? It has to do with restoring business confidence. It has to do with restoring consumer confidence. Unfortunately, all of those do not get helped in the current political environment that we are having. And I think that what you see is contestation in the South African society. We are a very vibrant democracy. Some people even say that we are actually a noisy democracy.
Just one final quick question, Governor. Do you feel that the latest noise around your mandate and your independence may further promote the rating agencies to revisit the idea of further downgrades? Well,
I don't think so. Part of it is that I do not think that this is something we are going to lose. There might be questions about our mandate, and I think that you have heard noise that says, well, maybe you should be revising the inflation targeting framework. Well, the inflation targeting framework had been revised at least 3 times before. We used to have an escape clause in the inflation targeting framework. We replaced that with an explanation clause when we moved to a flexible inflation targeting regime. In 2001, we decided to revise the target from 3 to 6 to 3 to 5. And when we were hit by a currency crisis in 2001, in 2002, we revised it back to 3 to 6. And we said that at some stage, we will have to go back and restore the 3 to 5 inflation target range.